In today's video, we're going to be using Python to build a website. So this is what the website is going to look like, which is a password generator that generates random password whenever you click the generate button. And not just that, you can see that the color for the card is changing, and if you look at the page, you can see that there is no page refreshes. It only refresh at certain points in time. So what this website is actually live on Heroku, so the link is in the description down below, and of course the repository is also available on GitHub if you want to clone it or just check out the code. Okay, so we are going to build in this with Python and Flask, some JavaScript, HTML and CSS, and let us jump into building. Okay, let's start off by building a simple hello world app with Flask, and then we can move further by building our password generator. So we need to import Flask, and to install Flask you need to use pip install Flask, and it's going to install Flask for you on your terminal. So you need to do it on your terminal or command prompt. So from Flask, import Flask with a capital F, and then you can say app equal Flask double underscore name double underscore like that, and at app dot route. So at the home page, or let's say the index, okay, we're going to define a function called index. So we just call that function index. There's no reason for calling it index. We're going to return a header one and say hello world, okay, like that. So to run this, we're gonna say if name equal this main, we're gonna say after run, and then we say debug equal true. So we're setting debug to true to start our server in a development mode, and it also shows all the error messages. Maybe we make somewhere like that. Okay, so this then I won't run this on my text editor. I'm going to open it up in my terminal. So I'm going to open the path in my terminal. You can see I'm in the same directory where I have that Python script. So you can just say python 3 app.py, and you can see it is up running. So we can copy this URL, open up our browser, and then paste and go. You can see, wow, we have hello world. It is really amazing. Okay, now let's get our password generator script participating as well in our project. So I'm going to drag and drop this genp. So this is a password generator script that I built. So you can build your own password generator, or you can just use mine, which you can get from the GitHub repository to this project. And then let's get back to our Flask application, and we're going to import that function. So from genp, which is the name of the script, genp.py, and this function generates password. So we're going to say from genp import generate password, like that. So now instead of hello world, let's return a generated password. So let's say password equal generate password, because we're going to need to pass the argument of a length. So we're going to pass 10 as the length, and then we're going to return the password rather than hello world. So now let's get back to our terminal first, because we need to start the server. So let's start the server app.py. Okay, the server is now running, so we can then just refresh the page, and then you can see that it generated password. We have a generated password right here, you can see. So whenever we refresh, we get a new generated password. Okay, so now let's get back to our project and then start using HTML. Okay, so again, to import render template. So what we are going to be doing is, instead of returning this password directly as the response or the HTTP response, we're going to be returning an HTML file. So we're going to return an HTML file as the response. So we're going to say render template, and then we're going to call the name of the template we want. So we're going to call that index.html. So this is going to be the HTML file that we're going to create. And let's get back to our project directory, so which is this. We're going to create a new folder, and we're going to call that templates. This is necessary because this is where Flask is going to look for all the HTML files we are going to pass to this render template. So we're going to it's going to look into the template folder in the project directory. So now here we're going to create a new HTML file, and we're going to call that index.html. So now let's drag and drop, and let's edit. So we're gonna generate this HTML style called something password generator as the title, narrator as the title. Right here we're going to have a header one with after a div. Inside of this one has the class of head. Div has the ID of box. Right here we're gonna have a header2, h2, like that, and that's password, and then a break statement, and then generator. And then we're going to have a where the paragraph, we're going to have the password that is being generated, and that's going to have the ID of password, like that. And right here we're going to have a copy button. So button copy, the ID is going to be copy underscore button, like that. And then we're going to have an HR, and the class is going to be line. So we're going to have a new button with the text generate. Okay, so this is going to be it for the HTML. So now let's refresh our page. You see we have that HTML that we created, and you can see that it is actually the HTML right here. And now let's add our password to this paragraph. So we can do that by going back to our Flask application, and we're going to pass, let's say, password equal password. So what we are doing here is we are sending this password over to the HTML, or we are giving the HTML this password so it can access this value by using this keyword. Okay, so right here we're going to use ginger template tag. So this is how we can access the data that is being passed to us, and we can just say password, since this is how we want to access the password that we pass to it with the name of the password, like that. So we need to save, and let's refresh. You can see we have that password right here, a password that has been generated. You can see it right here. So whenever I refresh, you can see there is a new password. Okay, so we are not going to be refreshing, of course, because that's not what we want to do. But before we move further, you can see that this page look ugly. Let's quickly add the CSS. So we're going to go back to the project directory again. We're going to create a new folder. We're going to call that static. So inside of the static, we're going to create a new folder, CSS. So inside of the CSS, we're going to have a new document or a new file, and we're going to call that main.css. So main.css. So you can drag and drop, and let me just paste my CSS code. Okay, here is my CSS code, and it's pretty straightforward, and you can just get the CSS, or you can make your own styling if you want to. But if you want this styling, as usual, you can find it in the GitHub repo. And now let's actually connect that with our HTML. So we can use the same method link, but in the reference we're going to say we're going to use this double curly braces, and you're going to pass URL for, and you're going to say static as the first argument, and then file name equal then css slash main dot css. So this is, we have the parent for our static, which is the folder static, and the file name is inside the css folder, and the file name is main dot css, like that. So let's refresh, and wow, we can see that we have our generate, like our password generator styled, but this button is kind of behaving weirdly. So let's see what's wrong. So right here in the button, it's supposed to have the ID of generate button. So let's refresh and see if it works. Hopefully you can see that the button is now styled as well, and yeah, everything is working pretty fine, pretty looking cool. So now when we refresh, we get new random password, but we're not going to be refreshing. We want to click the generate button to get a new password. So you're going to add a little JavaScript, so it's not much, just a little JavaScript. So we're going to go back to the static folder and create a new folder, JS. So inside of the JS, we're going to create a new document, and we're going to call that index.js. So that's going to be index.js, like that. So you can drag and drop, and yeah. So now I'm going to just paste the JavaScript code as well. So this is the JavaScript code, and let me explain what's happening line by line. So in the first variable right here, we're creating a global index variable, so we're calling that index. So this is for navigating the list of passwords, because we're going to be generating a list of password, and of course we want to, navigate, change the index. Whenever you click the generate button, it will show you another password on the next index. And then this function, the, as I said, the color for the card is going to be changing. So this one is for generating the random number from 0 to 255, and you can see the function generate random color, which is also the function responsible for changing the password text. So this argument right here, it's not supposed to be named, let's say password list. Okay, so let's see if we can get all of that to change to password underscore list, like that. So you can see it is now password list, and this you can see. So right here it is generating red, that's a random number for red, blue and green, and then it's getting the box ID, and then it's creating the template literal for the RGB value for the red, green and blue, and I'm just setting the background color to that color that is being generated, and then we're getting the uh, element with the ID of password, which is this element right here, and then we're setting the text to the password list index of index, and then we are incrementing the index. Okay, so this one is for checking if the password list is exhausted. We want to refresh that page so that we can get new random passwords. So right here I can just say index equals 0 again, so that maybe if there is a delay in the reloading of the page, you can still just start from the first, and you won't maybe even notice that's what's happening. Okay, so this one is for seeing if the a password has been copied, and you click generate. Of course you want to set the text back to copy, because right here when you click copy, we're going to set the but text for that button to copied, and this function, of course, it was copy the text. You could just creating a range, and we're selecting that uh, element, which is the password element, and we are removing all ranges, maybe any other thing that is highlighted, and then we're highlighting that range, and then we are executing the copy command, that's we're copying that, and then we are removing the ranges again, and then we're just kind of changing the text to copy, and we are setting copy to true, and we are disabling the button. So right here we are calling this function on load. So this is going to make the uh, text for that password right here for this one to be click generate. So again, to get rid of this one because it's not going to be needed. Okay, now to be able to do this, we need to pass list of passwords to this function. So in the index right here, for the copy function, we're going to say on click equal copy text, like that, which is that function. And this one on click is going to be our generate random color. Is that so? So gen random color, let me just copy that and then just paste that right here. So this is going to be taking a list argument, which we're going to do in a second, but let's first connect to the JavaScript. So the script tag, and then the src is going to be, of course, the same syntax, and we're going to say url for, and that's static, and that file name is going to be equal, this time is js slash index.js, like that. So right here, let's get the list we are going to pass to this random color. So in our app.py, we're going to generate list of random we're going to generate about 20 password, or let's say 30. So I'm going to say for generate password for I in, or let's just say for underscore in a range of 30. So right here I want a random length for the password, so I'm going to import random, and then I'm going to say, instead of the 10, I'm going to random dot rand int 8. So let's say 13 characters for the password. It generates a random uh, number for length for the password. So this is what we're going to be passing. So here the password, let's say list equal password. So now we can access that with password list. So we go back to the index, and we're going to use that syntax again. So don't worry about the red maybe error. So we're just going to pass password list, like that. So let's get back to our page, refresh, and see what's happened. Wow, you can see that the background for the card automatically changes on load, and when I click generate, you can see a new color has been generated, and when I click copy, you can see copied. To verify that it is actually copying, we can actually see, I can paste, and which is the same password that has been generated. You can, when you click generate again, you can see the text change back to copy, and click generate. Wow, and you can see that there's no page refreshes because of course we already have 30 list of password we need to navigate before we can reload again. But if you want, you can just reload, and you can see like that. So this is the simple password generator website, and the project is kind of complete because this is everything we're going to need. Okay, so I mean, like, what other improvements do you want to see to this password generator, or like what other functionality do you want to see, or what website do you want to see we should build with Flask? If you have any idea, you can leave a comment in the comment section down below. Thank you very much for watching. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.